let's start over here. This is the square became the cube. The sphere, the circle, became the sphere. The cylinder, well, the rectangle became a cylinder, and we do this. That also included ovals, if you remember, when we draw an oval. That's the minor axis. A is going to be reflective of B. Cone. Cone is a combination of a triangle and a cylinder, and I kind of jumped the gun up there, but we could draw it open-ended down here so you're looking into it. That's a little bit more interesting. Okay. We took the wedge, which is a triangle on its side. Okay, so let's draw that. And then we took the triangle and created a pyramid shape that is like a cube on the bottom, but it comes all together at the top. These are 2D forms, 2D shapes turned into 3D forms or masses. So here is what I want you to think about going forward. I want you, these are in your toolbox of your head, and it is imperative that you're able to draw these forms just without even thinking about it. It's going to help you in the long run. It's going to help you so much, because as you look at anything, you will start to break that down and break it down to these forms, and it'll be much easier to draw. Okay. All right. Let's move on here. So how do you do that? How do you practice? How can you practice these things in a variety of different ways? Well, this is where I'm going to show you right now. You take these 3D forms and you learn to draw them by stretching them and elongating them and squishing them and bending them, and we're going to look through that. And if you could do that, that's going to lead right into drawing more organic forms. So let's start. I'm going to clear my page here. And let's start with the cube, okay? So up here in the right corner, turn your page if you're in a sketchbook. Let's draw our basic cube, and you want to, like we've said, fan out the edges. All right, so there's my basic cube. Fanning out, remember, means that we're trying to draw this thing in perspective. These things are all kind of converging back to a vanishing point. Same thing with these guys here. Okay? First thing I want you to do is draw this cube elongated. All right, so what do I mean by that? Well, let's start with the top, and we can use our dot method if that is helpful. But I want you to draw this one with really long sides like this, okay? Remember, this is going to have to be a little bit more, again, look at that, fanning out. So these things are all going back to the same vanishing point. So this would be elongated, all right? So practice drawing this cube elongated. Little something on the side here. Look, as the top of this gets closer to our eye level, it becomes more foreshortened. As we look down on top of it, it becomes more, see, less foreshortened. We start to see more of it. This is what you want to be aware of, okay? Okay, this is going to be elongated. Now let's draw it flat. Same idea. Let's just you start off with your dots to get you headed in the right direction. Okay, so there is a flat version. And if I go too fast, just somebody tell me to stop and slow down, all right? All right? Let's try a tapered version. So we're going to start off with the same way. All right? And then this is going to be a tapered version. Remember, fan these out. All right, this is tapered. All right, next. All right, next, let's take a look at bent, okay? Ooh, bent, this is a new one. All right, so here we go. Let's see how we do on this one here. So this time, let's start with the bottom. Okay, so that's our bottom here. And I'm going to call this A, this little point over here. So over on A, let's draw a curved line. A curved line. I'm going to put a point here. Now this time, I'm going to, instead of going straight across and making my point, I'm going to come down here. All right, let's connect those. All right, now watch this. Let's say this is going to come down like this. This is going to come down like that. Now watch this. Now I'm not going to go at that corner there. I'm going to come up just a little bit. Like that. Woo! This might require another cup of coffee here, huh? And I'm going to extend this down just a bit there, like this. Wow, look at that. Now what we've just done is we've converted this cube into a curved, into an organic form. Let's try that again, shall we? So this is going to be a bent. Let's try that up here. So let's start off with our base again. Let's start with a curve going this opposite way over here, like this. Same process. Curve that around. Curve that around as well. Actually, this curve should be probably a little severe here. We'll come around like that. Okay. Come in here like this. Now, look right here. Watch this. If I curve, I'm going to come around there and just kind of curve this around like that. Now, if you remember, we started a little bit higher here, but this time I'm going to start below it just a little bit. So, in this scenario, we get a sense that that the top half is leaning over the base a little bit more, where in this case, you could see that this is creating an overhang. Where this one here is it's kind of sinking in on the bottom. So how do you practice something like this? Well, you do it exactly the way we're doing it, is that you want to start just practicing drawing cubes and bending them over in your mind. How do you draw that? How do you get that down? And the more and more you do this, you want to just really get comfortable with twisting, starting to bend over these different forms. Let's try that one more time without using all these guides. So I'm going to start with the corner there. Okay. I'll let you get caught up. And there you go. I don't know if we've talked about using T's or Y's to create overlap, but this is a great example of a T. Okay. So this is what I want you to do. As you go about your day and your week, I want you to start taking these different forms that you've already learned. The cube, the pyramid, the cone, all of these things. I want you to start trying to get used to drawing them normally, but then start to practice stretching them, bending them over from all different directions. The more you do this, the easier it will be to draw everything else, from animals to heads to whatever your desires are, okay? But to really master what we might call these basic volumes and the twisting of them. All right, let me clear the page now, and let's look at the sphere, and I want to address this. Okay, we started with a sphere, and we have a bit of an equator there, right? And you could even put a point at the top to tell you that's the top of it, all right? All right, so what does this thing look like if it was elongated? Well, it's gonna be something like this. Again, we could put an equator line and put a dot. So this is normal. No, it's not. This is just a sphere. This is elongated. All right, let's look at what is this thing going to look like if it was flat. It would be something like this. This is going to be flat. What would this look like if it was tapered? almost like a Hershey Kiss shape. All right, what would it look like if it was bent? So let's start off with the base here. And then let's come down like this. All right, there might be the top. And this isn't quite the equator, but that will give you a sense of roundness. And here, there's our letter T. Let's do it the opposite way. Okay, there he is there. Maybe that's the top. This is bent. All right, let me reverse it for you. So watch this now. This is A. I'm going to draw A again down here. Before I do that, I'm going to slide this over just a bit. Okay, watch what I do. In fact, let me just draw it up here. Okay, here we go. There's our base. There's our back end there. Now watch this. See the difference? I've kind of used a Y here instead of a T. And now instead of A, it's coming forward here, it's going back. Just by making that slight variation. So I would take your cubes, do that, do the same mechanism using cubes, and then also do this with spheres, and just get the idea of making these things look forward, looking these things coming back. These are great doodle exercises that you could just do over and over and over again, and it will really really enhance first your mind of thinking of volume, and help you as you start to draw more complex forms. Okay, put your seatbelts on. No, maybe. All right, here we go. Let's now combine them. All right, you're like, oh, please stop, stop. All right, let's start off with this. Let's start off with a simple cube. Draw it sort of lightly here. Okay. Start off with a cube. Then draw a sphere up on top of it, just like this. Let's draw another cube over here. Keep it light. And draw another sphere up here. We're going to name these guys. We'll call him Jack. And we'll call her Jill. All right. These are two forms that we're going to bring to life right now. Okay. Okay, let's start off with Jack here. Let's start off on this back side here. We're going to come around like this. Oops, what happened there? All right, I'm just going to darken this in. All right, we're going to come around like this. Come like this. And right here on Jack, we're going to come around like this. Okay. And you could even put a smiley face on them if you wanted to. All right, here comes Jill now. Jill's going to come around the back side like this. And right here, we're going to curve it around. And we'll give her some eyelashes. Maybe she's sound asleep. So what we've just done now is we've combined a cylinder, a cube and a sphere. So you might be asking yourself, okay, this is all fine. How do we use this in a practical sense? Well, let me show you how this is used in a very practical sense, okay? Now, this is not an anatomy class, but I want to show you how this becomes core when drawing the anatomy. And I just want you to watch so I could draw this quickly and you will get a quick sense of how this is used. So if I was going to draw the human body, I would think of the core of the human body. So just watch here now. I might start off with a general shape for a rib cage. Then the lower pelvis becomes a tapered cube. You see, so then from here, this is where you start adding other things, like your shoulders and your legs. You get the idea? So this is why it's so important to really understand and master your combination of forms, because you'll start using them everywhere, right? So practice first, practice the cubes, then practice the cylinders, the spheres, and then combine these shapes, all right? And just keep doing them over and over and over again. All right, next what I want to do is, I forgot to add, I know what I need to do here. Hold on. I forgot to add these steps here. Let's see if it does it. Okay, that's good. Okay, so I have added this. If you are signed up for our class, you can download this photo. I've added it to our class notes for today. And what we're going to do here is I'm going to review drawing steps again. And then we're going to take a look at drawing wheels in the next 20 minutes here. And then I will I have not added a PDF sheet in our class notes yet, and I'll do that shortly after I'm done recording this. And if you come later, you'll find it, and you can just ignore everything I just said, okay? So let's take a look at these steps here and draw these along with these railings, okay? So let's start off and establish some of our vanishing, our grid here. So where I'm going with this, I'm going to go with the most outside edges first. So, you know, I'm looking at this in this direction, and I'm looking at this bottom here in that direction, okay? So let's get that down first. All right, so that's going to be our top direction, going back to our vanishing point. And that is going to be our bottom section. Okay, so first, let's get our first step here. Our first step is going to, and we're just using these as guides right now, okay? That's going back to the vanishing point. Just trying to get some guides here. All right. Let's start with the outside here. All right, so we know that that's going to go back. So let's draw using that. Let's draw our first step. Okay, there's our first step. Okay, let's establish where our corner for our next step is going to be. I'm going to go right about there. I'm using our picture here as a basis. Okay, that's going to go back to that same vanishing point over there. Okay, we gotta get this going back. Let's add a little thickness to this step. Okay. Using our guides here, let's get this next step in. And what I'm looking at is, where does that corner right there line up with the step above it? All right. So it's going to be right about there, I think. And then where does this corner line up with the step above it? Okay. That's going to be maybe right about there. Let's connect those two. Okay. This is going to have to go back to that vanishing point. That's going to go back. Add some thickness. You know, like anything else, the more you draw steps, the better you'll get at it. And then let's do the same thing with the one below it. Be right about there. Maybe right about there. It's going to taper a little bit on the outside here. This is going to taper in. Again, going back to that, everything should be converging on two vanishing points. Little thickness. As I'm looking at this, I'm thinking maybe this one should be a little bit longer. It just visually doesn't look quite long enough to me. That looks a little better. Let me show you. Let me, if you need to rewatch this and freeze the frame at this, feel free to do that. But in our time allotted here, let me show you one more simple, much more simpler set of stairs that you can actually practice on. All right, so let's start with this idea here. Let's just draw. Let's just draw a cube on the bottom like this. Give me a vertical there. We're going to start down here at A. Let's come up about that distance right there. Let's bring this back like this. Another vertical. Let's bring this all the way back. This will be a simple two-step set of stairs. Okay, so now over here, that's going to that vanishing point. And let's use this guy here, and he's going to converge at some point. It's going to be slight. Same thing with this. This is going to converge at some point over there. Okay, this is also going to converge. We got one more to draw. And this is going to converge as well. So all of those all of those slowly are going to converge. Call this B. Okay, from B, let's go straight up. Okay, this is going to converge. We're going to come back like this. This is going to come straight up here. And then this is going to converge back here. Now we could just sharpen some of these lines up. So this is also a great exercise to practice over and over again. We probably should have started with this. I'm sorry. I threw I threw the Mercedes-Benz at you. We should have started with this Volkswagen Beetle. And we can add a little bit of tone or surface lines to help us see the difference here. And as you get more comfortable with drawing these 2 steps, then try it as 3 steps. Then try it looking in the different direction and see all these. Yeah, thanks, Sharon. Sharon says both are good practice. So what we're trying to do is really trying to get our mind to work from 3D so that we are able to look at things from different angles, spin them in our head. And as you're able to spin these more complex forms, man, I'll tell you, it's great for your brain to get used to spinning forms in its head and then being able to translate them and draw them from any angle. This really is a great exercise, doodling over and over again. Okay? Some of the best memory, brain exercises that you could do is to draw and to think of form from different points of views. Okay? All right, last thing I want to show you. Let's talk about wheels really quickly one more time. Okay, so if I was to look at a wheel straight on, this is what it might look like, right? And if I was to draw, the axis line, A is reflective of B, right? And if I was to squish this and draw an oval, it would remain the same. If this was the center point, A is still going to be reflective of B. This becomes the minor axis. How do you feel about carving? Oh, I'm totally okay with it, John. If you can carve it out, absolutely. I have no problem with that. All of these things are just processes and exercises that you're going through in order to get to the same conclusion, okay? All right, so let's just say now we change our minor axis to be at this angle. All right, well, let's come in here and change our oval. Oops, that's not quite reflective there. All right, so same thing, A is reflective of B, and this is what we want to get comfortable drawing. When we have that minor axis, that we're able to get those sides reflective, okay? So how does this translate into drawing wheels? Let's go ahead and draw a cube. Okay, there's my cube. let's draw an X on the side so we know right where the center. There's the center point of our cube. And we're going to put a mark down here. This is going to be our minor, well, it will be. This is going to be our axle. Our axle. This cube has a one axle, one wheel, or two wheels, but it's on a single axle. Okay? So this is going back. That's going back to that vanishing point. That's also converging, and this axle is also converging back to that same vanishing point. Okay, so when we draw the wheel, the axle also becomes the minor axis. So when I draw my wheel here, oops, I drew too heavy here. But this is how that wheel is going to look. This is how this wheel is going to look when it's drawn in perspective. Okay? So let's say I was going to add spokes to this wheel. If I was trying to do a live draw in the middle of everyone trying to get off to work is an exciting it's an exciting task. Okay, so let's just say I was going to draw, we'll end on this. Let's say I was going to draw spokes on this wheel, okay? Let's come over to this guy first. If I was going to draw spokes, I would do something like this, right? All right, there are my spokes, okay? Well, the same thing is true here. Let's start off with a vertical. All right, now this next one is going to go back. It's going to go in the direction of that vanishing point. So we're going to go this way, like this. And then we're going to do this. And then we're going to do this. The spokes are on a different plane than your axle, okay? And this might take some time. Once again, this might take some time to get your head around. Okay, I'm back. Somehow it got disconnected. So if you're going to, as you continue the process of your drawing, you want to make sure that you learn to draw your basic forms, learn how to stretch and twist them, how to stretch them, how to bend them over, how to think of stairs and fanning things out, and of course really mastering the concept of drawing wheels in perspective. All right, well, hey, listen, that brings a conclusion to the Back to Basics class. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. We have other classes that you can jump forward from. Of course, down in the description, join our Facebook group. I have new classes coming out all the time, and I just really appreciate you all watching. My name's Kurt. I'm a dad who draws, and stay tuned. We are just getting started, okay? All right. Have a great weekend. Congratulations, everyone. We will see you all later. Okay? All right. Bye-bye.